Hi. This time I'm doing a slightly different take on this. I've done the solo guides, and me and my mate were running a bunch of duo ED1 the other day, and I figured I'd record one of them just for fun, and then do like a commentary afterwards. I'm not talking as we are doing this. I'm just explaining what we're doing and why. And the point of this is to make this as efficient as possible when in a group with one other person. Trio is completely different, but trio in this dungeon should kind of not really be done unless you're just trying to like rake up kill count, or you want to do it for the fun, but loot wise it's completely worthless. So everything is pretty much the same as the solo run. You could see there that I was meteor striking these mobs. Usually both people do it. That kind of clears them out in 2 seconds. And otherwise, different from solo is that you don't really need to care that much, like you're placing on the different mobs and your overhead prayers, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Everything's going to be so fast and or easy anyway. You can just soul split through the entire thing. The bigger focus on these videos are probably going to be how we deal with the bosses. So as usual for the Sanctum Guardian, we teleport out to clear the Room of Dragons. There is a way to do it without doing that. If one person goes on the south side and tanks the boss, north side, and one person goes on the south side and prays magic and tanks the dragons, but it's kind of awkward, especially if you're meleeing. The dragons do deal a lot of damage if you end up being piled by pretty much every single one of them. So we use the adrenaline crystals to charge up a dragon battle axe spec. Not really required, just fun. Increases your damage for 1 minute, kind of helps with the initial circ rotation. This is a very short boss fight as well, so the more concentrated damage you can deal, the less you're going to have to deal with the actual mechanics of the boss. So this time we're both going to the south side, both circing, doing a full barge rotation. I'm using a regular Vuln there. You can Vuln bomb him, it's a little bit more awkward. But bleed assault with your maul, switch to destroy with dual wields. Then as soon as the destroy is over, do 1 or 2 basics and carry on with a 3-tick flurry. Beam comes around, disruption shield, resonance, whichever one you want. It's pretty likely that there's only going to be 1 beam. If there's 2, obviously use the one you didn't use before. During the beam, start your CGS rotation like we're doing now. Get your usual thresholds out, destroy, assault, flurry, and then just basics. That's pretty much it. It's not a difficult fight. It's essentially the same thing you do with the extreme melee rotation on a dummy. Only difference being that you disrupt that one attack. Everything else here is the same. Run by these guys. Make sure you haven't used your devotion on the previous boss, because if you don't have it available when they start speccing, if they do, it's going to be AIDS. You'll pretty much die regardless of what you do. Kill the 3 guys by the barrier. Most of the time you can do this before the rangers even reach you. Kind of depends on where they are in their walk rotation when you reach there. For the next bit, there's nothing special either. When you get to the staircase area, one person is going to be meteor striking that room, and one person is going to be doing it in the next room with all the melee NPCs. Only reason for that is because Meteor Strike doesn't have a short enough cooldown to be available for both, and it's kind of over the top for both to do the same area. So just make sure that you have high adrenaline when you're going up this stair. Go into the middle of this shit. Do the meteor. Finish everything up with whatever you want. Hurricane Quake. Carry on through here. Now you're going to see my duo partner Jake going to be doing his Meteor Strike in the middle of this. I'll be just doing usual regular thresholds. About the rangers in the next room, it doesn't really matter if you kill them or if you skip them at this point, because it's going to be so fast to clear the rest of the dungeon anyway. Just bleed the one guy who's the furthest off to the side that I was attacking there. Do the other ones with AoEs. If you want to go straight into Masuda, you can, it's fine. We choose to restart because we want to do the Dragon Battle Axe thing on the Adren Crystal. Back in, make sure everything's ready. 100% adrenaline pot off cooldown. Pray melee. Grimoire on, in this case. Circ rotation, Vuln Bomb. First thing you want to do is assault with them all. Switch to your jewels and then do a destroy. As soon as he starts to spin, you can do a basic flank and then get your devotion off. In that case, I use my limitless sigil for it because of adrenaline. Sometimes you don't have to, sometimes you do. Doesn't really matter. Now he's past the point of 275k, so as soon as he goes out of the spin, he goes into the next phase, the waters. At this point, you can also stack shards on the boss if you want to. We tend to not do that because we always forget about it. But if there's two of you, you can do 3 shards each in the 90-second period the water's out in the room, so one person pops the shatter at the end for a free, like, 24k damage or something. There's not a lot going on right now. Just kill the waters. Since we're meleeing, you don't really have to think about anything. What you can do here if you want to, since the water phase is 90 seconds long, you can look at what the timer was at when you faced him. Now you can start doing a Dragon Battle Axe or a Natural Instinct, or both, towards the end of the water phase, so you have a little bit of extra boost, either damage or adrenaline. Just makes the next bit a couple of seconds faster. Vuln Bomb there was to pre-vuln him, so that it's already down when he goes into this bit. And then it's just a standard Circ barge rotation. I screwed my barge up there. A little bit annoying, but no big deal. Then pray Magic or Soul Split, kind of depending. See, Jake goes to the other side now and pray Soul Split, so he just signed there. He got a ton of damage from the boss, and then the water thing is reaching him on that side and it doesn't touch me on the other. So that's one thing, if you're going to leave them alive, just make sure to be out of reach when you attack the boss. They do hurt. After your Circ rotation, go into a CGS and standard thresholds. Assault, Destroy, Flurry. If one person in the back, they can flank, obviously. I don't know if you also noticed that I used my sigil instead of my Adren pot for the Circ rotation thereafter. The reason for that is because I want the Adren pot to be off cooldown. If you're not trying to set a personal record at Masuda, there's no real use to wait for the Adren pot to come off. Here we're starting a regular dummy instead of going to PVM hub and using the crystals. For me, that's just a personal preference. It doesn't really matter. can also turn this around if you want to do the Dragon Battle Axe first and the Natural Instinct after. It kind of depends on what you're going to be doing next. Start the fight with 100% adren. Unlike solo, you don't berserk the start phase. Both barge, bleed your assaults, pop a CGS, carry on doing the rest of the thresholds. So assault, destroy, and then flurry. Again, if you want to, you can move to the closest squares towards Serious Head on the back, kind of where Jake is standing right now. You can flank from there. See the flank icon lighting up in my buff bar now while I'm standing here. As soon as the head reaches 7.2 million, pick one side each. Make sure you have 100% adren when you go up. Then do a berserk rotation with the adren pot. That's why you want it to be off cooldown. Bleed your assault with them all. Switch to duels. Do a destroy. There was the double mines in there, in case you didn't see that. If you want to, you can Voln this first crystal the first thing you do when you get up. I didn't really bother, because clearing it doesn't matter anyway. Obviously you need to clear it, but you're going to, because it's time gated, given the time it takes for the healers to reach Serious Head. So I did my vulnerability really late there. Crystal's already dead though, and things are barely reaching him. As soon as they reach the head, you can do a Natural Instinct if you want to. Doesn't matter that much when you're doing. Just step off during the third and fourth heal. Do your berserk rotation, this time with the sigil instead. Place 2 more mines as soon as they come off cooldown. Bleed your assault, go back in with destroy. And that way you clear the entire thing in just one cycle. So that was that. It's really not that difficult. It's quite fun, and even though the scale drops are the thing that make bulk of the money here, and you don't get that many scales in duo runs, you can still make like somewhere in the neighborhood of 20-ish mil an hour if you're a little bit lucky. I think this was a pretty big chest though, because I had a high scale drop, which is not super common in duo, but it happens.